Welcome back, everybody. Thursday morning show rolls on. Final half hour. Tomorrow, Corey Provis join us. We'll update on the Twins as they get ready for their final homestand of the year. Also, we get ready for another First Down Friday to get rocking and rolling across the year. Might have to deal with some elements. Looks like the weather forecast may bring some rain, more rain into the area as it's doing it right now. No surprise, though, when you look at the standings across Minnesota high school football, team that's unbeaten through its first three games, set it to rinse and repeat. As Mahnomen-Waubun, the Thunderbirds are 3-0, beating Red Lake in their last game. They got a game at Nevis coming up tomorrow night. Longtime head coach John Clark, friend of our show, back with us here on this Thursday morning to chat about another great start for his team. It's great to see you, bud. Thanks so much for the time. Is this just set it and forget it for you on how to start a year? Describe why the team has been off to such a good start.
Just Dom, another great group of kids. It's we're pretty spoiled when we have good classes that come through with good football players. And I've said this many times. For some reason, our kids, when they go from their junior year to their senior year, they become really good football players, and we're seeing it again this year. And just a fun group, very very laid back group, not a big rah group, but they just kind of go about their business.
We talked last year in the great run you had, made it back to US Bank Stadium. You're unbeaten. You got beaten in the semifinal game. How much did that spur for this team? The guys you just mentioned, the juniors that were coming back for seniors, that's something that you had to address, or is that even unspoken with this team?
No, that's unspoken, and I think that goes back to that. The senior leadership in our program just gets passed down from year to year, and this senior class is one of the best we've had. They've they lead by more by example than by words. But that was a tough one last the year in the semi. We had a 16-point lead, and things were looking real good, and then just momentum switched and a couple of injuries, and it snowballed on us. So I think our team kind of, especially those juniors that played a lot, kind of had that bad taste in their mouth, like we may have let one slip away there. So it's definitely fueled this season for sure.
For you as a longtime coach, in a game like that, how do you set when you see momentum flipping? Are you powerless there? What can you do when you see the game playing out the way it did last year?
Well, it was more of just reaction because we had a couple of key injuries,
Yeah.
and people know in small town football, one injury affects about four different positions. So we were in scramble mode, to be honest. You know, I laughed. We had a young wide receiver, 5'5", 100.
Well, connection may have frozen up here. Hopefully, we'll get him back here in a second. He was talking about the experience last year, the semifinal loss that the Thunderbirds had. They lost to Springfield, as I just was mentioned in that game. They were up 16-0, as Coach Clark was mentioning, and ended up falling there. Hopefully, we'll get him back here in a second. You mentioned about that team that they had last year falling in that semifinal game, bounced back, and started this season having allowed a total of 2 points. We got you back, bud. Sorry. There you go. That's all right. Finish that. You're telling us about a young wide receiver that you had come into the game because of the injuries you had.
Yeah, so he's 5'5", 130 pounds, and he ends up playing tight end. And Springfield had a DN that was about 6'5", 250. So he got to tangle him for a few plays, and he come off and he said, "I don't like tight end." And I said, "Okay." Yeah, but you're tenacious. You're tenacious. That's why you're in there. So, it's just scramble mode at that point. And, we did the best we could. We still had a chance. I mean, we had the ball and, a chance to pick up a third down and just didn't quite get it. So, I mean, ended up giving up a cheap one at the end, but it was a one-score game.
That experience, though, John, for those guys, how valuable is it now going into 2025?
I think, like, again, we're spoiled because we've been through it enough times that
Yeah.
our kids, they kind of know what to expect. They've been there. They know the routine once the playoffs start is a little different than it's been in a regular season. So, they know what it's like to go to the Fargo Dome, what all that is about. they know the state tournament, luckily, and the freshmen are wide-eyed. They're taking it all in, and sometimes you got to give them a little slap on the back of the head and say, "Hey, wake up! Here, we got to do things now." So, you're still carrying equipment like you have all year. Grab that bag and let's get to the locker room. So, but it's nice to have that experience.
When you have the reputation your program does, just even on like tomorrow night for a normal Friday night game, and I put normal in quotation marks, what is the pressure of that knowing everyone expects you to win? How do you handle that? Even as a coach, you've been doing this for a long time.
I just again, our kids have been through it, and we talk about that how a lot of times we do have a target on our back because of our
Yeah.
success, and there's a few programs in the area, that have that have had sustained success. So I think our kids thrive off it. I mean, I don't know that they feel pressure. I think the biggest pressure is they want to look so good doing it, and it's not easy sometimes. If we don't score in 4 plays, it's like, what's going on here? No, we're fine. We're getting first downs. It's not going to be easy all the time. And this week, especially playing a Nevis team that we haven't played ever. They've been 9 men, not sure quite what to expect. You get a little bit of film, but they haven't played us either, so I'm sure they have some things they'll show us that we haven't seen.
I was going to ask you about that. That's an opponent you haven't faced. For you doing this, how different, or not necessarily scary, but maybe a similar word about the unknown of what you don't know you're going to see tomorrow night?
No, we as coaches, we enjoy it. It tests you as a coach, what to expect, and most of the time we're completely wrong. And to be honest, Dom, we've been into too many games where we've had these grand plans. We're going to do this and we're going to do that, and it usually doesn't work. And we go right back to our bread and butter 2 plays that we've been running for 25 years, and we say stop us. And so far, not too many have.
The expectations that come with it, I'm sure. How much does that help even for getting kids to come out? Hey, come play football. You know what the past pedigree is. Expectation wise. Do you even need word of mouth, or you could go out and get guys because word of mouth is so good to come out and play football?
No, I think word of mouth and success obviously is the biggest recruiter you can have. And we're so lucky right now that we do get most of our kids out. So for small school, we're very lucky in that we can have mainly 2 groups of older kids that are practicing together, and then pretty much 2 groups of younger kids, ninth and 10th graders. So, I remember days when we had 25 kids out, and your seniors are beating the snot out of your poor freshmen, and that's no fun.
Yeah.
And now our freshmen get to battle each other and other sophomores, and it's fun for them. And I think you know I and it's pretty clever. The new kids, they'll come, well, when do we get to go to the dome? Well, we don't necessarily get to go to the dome. A lot of work to do before that. It's not just going to happen, and then it's not a given, So there's some of that. We get kids that just want to be around their friends, and be part of the team, and honestly get in the team picture too.
Yep.
That's a big job for a lot of kids.
So I had your bro on this spring because he's got a Division I football player at Pillager, and Earl Brown, who's he's going to go play at North Dakota State. We saw Pillager beat Barnesville this past weekend. How much do you guys chat on a Friday night after the game, or what's the constant communication like with you and your bro?
Oh, there's a little bit after the game, but it normally comes Sunday evening is when, okay, now what, how those coaches meetings go, Dom, after games. So then Sunday morning is when it's serious talk, and, how'd it go? And I know they're pretty excited over in Pillager right now. That was obviously
That's a big
a
win.
huge win for their
Yeah.
program. And, that's one of those wins that can really springboard a team in a season. So, they got good things going. You know, but like his dad says, Bomber, if he just wasn't so bullheaded, I think good things could happen over there.
How much do it just having that experience with your dad to have that sounding board? Does that still help now, even all these years you've still been doing it?
Well, a big help early on. I don't know that it's much of a help anymore because, as I said, I don't know what it is, but as you get older, you see all the things that are wrong. You know what I mean? You don't see the good things that are happening, and you should do that. And and it's really hilarious because when Bomber's talking to me, it's how bullheaded my brother is, and I hear from my brother when he's talking to him, it's how bullheaded I am. And if we would just listen to him more, and but wisdom, and
No doubt.
I'm blessed because Ken Bauman, the old coach at Mahnomen, still drops by weekly pretty much and just asks how the team's going and throw things off of him. So
Hey,
definitely a lot of football flavor around.
I say it all the time. The older I get, unfortunately, the more right my dad gets. It's just crazy. Like every day, it seems like somebody tells me, like, yeah, all right, he was right again on that one. Before I let you go, just expectation wise, we had Matt Bosch on from Park Christian to start the week, and now they're in your section in that how deep 8A is. Everybody knows what you bring to the table, but describe that of playing, knowing full well we got to play well every week because everybody's looking for us, everybody's gunning for us.
No, like I said, I enjoy that, and I think our kids feed off it just because there's that urgency. Our kids are so smart nowadays with all the social media, and they know other kids from other towns, and
Yeah.
they know what teams have more than the coaches do, to be honest. Oh, they have this kid, and they have, and we pretty much worry about our own team. So they you kind of know who's going to be really good, and who's kind of that team that can surprise, and who's got teams that are going to struggle. Our kids kind of know that. So um they, but again, when you've had the success we've had, they don't want to let that down. And right now, the big thing is our defense hasn't given up a touchdown yet, and they really want to save that. And sometimes that's added pressure,
Yeah.
and kind of I hope we give one up just so we can be done with that talk, to be honest, and we can move on from that. But they like I said earlier, they want to perform so
Yeah.
well and show everybody how good they are. So I think that's more pressure than anything.
I have one more for you. This is, I think, year 8 of the co-op. If I would have told you where you're at success wise, how it's gone, would you have believed me in 2018 when this all came about?
Yeah, parts of it, and it's just a weird. I mean, it just seems so natural, after that first year, and again, I'll say this to the day I die. Those kids that first year were
Yeah.
tremendous. I
Yeah.
mean, if we didn't have that group of kids, who knows how it goes,
That's a good point.
But not only talented football players, but giving kids, sacrificing positions, and playing for each other, and all that jazz. And it made it very seamless. And now, it's just, you're not a Mahnomen kid, you're not a Waubun kid, you're a Thunderbird, and we see that every day.
Helps when you win the state championship the first year as the co-op, but you're exactly right. It's a great point because I'm really how different it may have been had not the success you had the first year of doing it. It's great to see you, bud. Be well. Good luck tomorrow. We'll talk down the road, okay?
All righty, thanks for having me, Dom.
Good to see you, man. There he goes. John Clark, head coach, Mahnomen-Waubun Thunderbirds in action tomorrow night. He's mentioned first-time opponent with Nevis, moving up from the 9-man ranks into 11-man football. Have score of that coming up tomorrow on First Down Friday. We'll take our final break. We come back. We'll put a bow on things, get you ready. We got a fun Sports Thursday on tap. We'll get you ready for that and send you out the door. Hot Mike wraps after this on WDAY Extra, KSFL, KMBN, and Inforum.com.